Time is midnight, so we'll be with you for the next 30 minutes tracking this. And it could be over the community of Fayetteville right now. So if you're in Fayetteville, please just remain calm, but get to your safe spot. And as a reminder, that's always the lowest level of your home. So basement is always best. This storm shelter is going to work as well. But if you don't have that, most of us don't, then get to a bathroom or a closet and just hunker down. Protect your body with pillows and blankets, and let the storm pass on by. It's not going to last very long. And again, we're not going to leave you until the threat is done. But right over downtown Fayetteville right now, a possible tornado pushing on through. Lisa?
All right, moving on to the east, about 50 miles an hour. These storms have been moving pretty quickly tonight. So as soon as we saw this pop up, we're like, got to let folks know here what's going on as this storm has continued to kind of ramp up a little bit within just the last few minutes. But Dan, circling what we're seeing right here, we've been watching a little bit of a notch, and now we're getting our warning ring popping up here, which is showing some of that rotation taking place in that storm. Now, this is a radar indicated tornado, so we can tell that the storm itself is rotating. We're not sure if that rotation is reaching all the way to the ground, but this is your early warning. If you are in Fayetteville, in Elmwood Terrace, right around Fayetteville High School, over to the Lincoln County High School there, and you can see up to around Creason. If you're in any of those locations, that tornado is right over you at this point, so make sure you head to that safe place. Tornado shelters are obviously the best if you've got them. If you don't, then you want to head to the lowest level of your home and basically build a fort. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. That's the best thing to do. If you've got pillows or blankets, grab those, take them in there with you, and even a helmet. Certainly if you're out ahead of this storm, we'll get a storm track for you in just a few moments. But there's some of that info. But what you're trying to do here is protect your head from flying debris. Tornadoes kind of act like vacuum cleaners, but they don't have a bag. So they pull all that stuff up and they throw it out. So what you're trying to do is protect yourself, your head, your body from that. And certainly anytime we're in a car or a mobile home, you want to be out of those. And even if you're in a mobile home, it'd be best to be outside in a low-lying area like a ditch than to stay inside that mobile home, because they so easily can flip over and over and over. We'll get a storm track for you as soon as we get this out a little bit farther so that we can show you this fast-moving storm, moving about 55 miles an hour or so. That's going to take it to Lynchburg. So if you are in Lynchburg, you need to definitely be headed to your safe place. Estimated arrival time is 12:19. Bakertown, 12:21. And then continuing on that track, it's going to take it right over to you in Tullahoma, right around 12:32, Tullahoma High School at 12:32 as well. So any of those communities, you want to make sure that you are headed to the safest spot. And again, recapping, this is a tornado warning that is in effect for Lincoln, Moore County, and we'll watch this very closely for you. Franklin County included in that as well. And the indication is it's right over the Fayetteville area at this point as it continues to track on towards the east. Dan?
Lisa, we're going to look at a couple of different things to look for rotation. So we've got the standard rotation detector shown here. And it looks like we're seeing a little more impressive rotation right around Fayetteville. You can see a bright green blob not far from some red. Let's take a look at how strong this rotation could be within the cell. So we've got inbounds and outbounds. We're actually leaning on the Huntsville radar in Alabama because that's closest to this. And so we've got 42 mile an hour wind close to or headed toward the radar and 51 away. And this distance between the 93 miles an hour of rotation collectively is about 2.5 miles. That's a lot of rotation. And it's not far from the ground. We're scanning about 1,500 feet off the ground. So you really got to take this thing seriously. Down in Fayetteville on the east side of town, there could be a tornado in progress. We don't have confirmation of that right now. Let's take a look at another thing called the shear rate. And so it's another rotation detector. And, you know, Lisa and I have used these tools for years. And when we see on this rotation detector a blob of red, as we are here, and then also a big blob of red up and through here, that has at least a little indication of maybe some concern for potentially a tornado in progress there as well. And this is the shear tracker, and you can see all that, the remnants of that storm moving along, the history of that storm, of that rotation moving up toward Fayetteville as it intensified. And so the most easy way to find out where the most dangerous part of the cell is to look at this. And it's clearly on the east side of Fayetteville. The inbound winds are being entrained into the storm right here. This is the inflow that's feeding the storm from the south. And this is where we have some outflow winds. If we have a tornado in progress, it is on the east side of Fayetteville right now, and it's moving due east, east-northeast at about 50 miles an hour. And so we'll zoom out just a touch here and show you who's next in line. Southern parts of Moore County, right here. So south of Lynchburg, but Lynchburg, you're in that tornado warning. See that moving east-northeast? It's going to come really close to Lynchburg and possibly, Lisa, go right toward Estill Springs.
Absolutely, and folks around Timms Ford Lakes, heads up to you as well, as that storm is going to be headed in your general direction as well. Hey, Dan, let's pull out and show that big view once again, kind of do a little reset here, show folks exactly what's going on that may be just flipping the channel right now. Here is a look, and you can see this line of storms, no warnings up and down this line. They've been allowed to expire. You've got really heavy rain coming into Cookeville right now, and also a lightning show there too, and then we head down to McMinnville. Heavy rain is just about to come into your area. Along this line, you can expect some very gusty winds as well. That's going to be eventually headed over to Sparta and McMinnville. You are still under a tornado watch in this area until this line moves on by. And then we look a little farther down to the south, and here is where that tornado warning was issued. Does include Franklin, also Lincoln, and Moore counties right now as the storm is moving off to the east. It's right around Fayetteville, now moving to the east of Fayetteville, where we are looking for that possible rotation that was taking place. And, you know, anytime that we look at these radar images, we're looking for little notches, as Dan was explaining, where that wind is circulating in. That's always an indication of where that tornado may be located, like we're seeing right in through here. And we also look at a rotation detector, which we're picking up on some reds and greens that are really close together. We look for that as well to indicate where that storm may be spinning. And then, of course, we want to make sure that you are headed down to your safe spot. So you're taking advantage of the early warning system that we have here with radar, and that's the case for you. If you're out to the east of Fayetteville and some of these communities, make sure that you are taking those precautions and heading into the safest place to be. And Dan's highlighting some of these areas just so you can see right there along Highway 64, along Highway 50 as well. Storm moving off towards the east, and of course we can see Timms Ford Lake over there in the distance, so just a heads up for folks there. Here are some of the communities out ahead of this. Of course, Kelso, you're in the line of where this potential tornado could be going. Gaddiestown, Champ, over to around Smithland as well. This storm moving on towards the east, northeast, kind of a northeast drift to it right now. Other folks over here in Marble Hill want to make sure that you're taking those precautions as well. Not a bad idea, even though you're not in the official warned area, to go on and head to your safe spot up to around Beach Hill as well. Just know that that storm's going to be headed into your general direction before too much longer as it continues on that track. So tornado warning in effect right now does include folks there in Lincoln and Moore County. And I beg your pardon, you are actually in that official warning area, Estill Springs and Winchester, just outside of that line. But it is going to be headed in your direction if you're in one of these communities. And look at this, a lot of lightning with the storm as well. So I'm sure things are getting a little loud around here with all that thunder booming from this. But a lot of times that's what we'll see, is we'll see a lot of rain with these storms. That's why we don't want you to head outside and try to take a look to see if you can see a funnel cloud, because oftentimes they're going to be rain wrapped. And here is Lynchburg as well. So storm very close to Lynchburg. Looks like even another little notch has shown up there around the Lynchburg area as well, with the storm tracking off towards the east. Here in just a moment, we'll get a new storm track for you to show you exactly where the storm is going to be moving on. Did we get an update here from the Weather Service? I think we're still going to hang with this.
Yep.
Saying it's moving to the east, maybe a little bit slower than some of the other storms that we've been tracking a little farther off to the north. But here's this new track, and we can see that it's Bakertown until 12:18, Estill Springs around 12:32, over to Winchester at 12:32. The estimated arrival time, if the storm continues moving in this direction and certainly on this path, and then over to Deckard right around 12:34. Franklin County High School at 12:34 as well, and around Cowan, estimated arrival time for you at 12:39. If you're in any of those areas that we just called, you need to be either in the basement, if you have one, in a closet, or a bathroom that doesn't have any windows. Kind of hunker down in there, and we'll give you the all clear when this storm passes you by. But right now, we are under a warning for you. And And you can see the storm, here's Fayetteville. Storm is just passing by you at this point, continuing to move on towards the east right now. And there's Lynchburg, and then of course, Estill Springs will be in the next line as this storm moves on through. And Timms Ford Lake right in here as well. So if you live in that community, anywhere around that lake, make sure you too are down in your safe place at this point. Storm shelter is obviously the best because we are definitely looking at something we don't want to take this for granted with even with our radar indicated tornado warnings that we have in effect. A lot of rain with this storm tonight. We're looking at the rain rates here. So if the storm was just to sit still and keep raining over that same spot, we'd get around 6.5 to 7 inches of rain in an hour's time. We know it's moving right now, but just to give you the idea that there is a lot of rain with this storm as it is advancing on to the east. And already we've had quite a bit of rain in some of these spots in a pretty short period of time here, nearing an inch of rain in many of those locations in just the past 3 hours. And that's certainly the case when you get back over here to Cornersville. Even more rain has been showing up there. A little bit less out ahead of this, but there is more to come, as you can see here, checking out on our latest radar image. I think it's good time for us to, as soon as we dive down and take another look at this, good time to reset and show folks what else is happening here across the mid-state, and we'll do that in just a few minutes, but we're already down here now, so let's take a dive at what's going on as this storm is moving off to the east. I think we're highlighting here Moore County as the storm is going to be moving right through there. There is Lynchburg, and you can see how close this is to Lynchburg. This is an estimate of where that potential tornado is located right now. So just south of you in Lynchburg. If you're in the Lynchburg area, anywhere around Jack Daniels there, you want to make sure that you're in your safe spot as this storm is coming very close to you. There's Lois, there's Bakertown, there's Beach Hill and Brownington right now, and also Gaddiestown as well. Just a couple of communities that are right in the path of what could be a potential tornado for you. Dan?
Okay, Lisa, we will reset. And so we take the top-down view from the mid-state right now and take a look at First Alert Live Radar. We flip back to First Alert Live Radar because with this, we can see Middle Tennessee even better. But just for the moment there, we were actually using the Huntsville radar. And notice the storms go up and down the Cumberland Plateau, approaching the Cumberland Plateau. So we're talking about you in parts of Pickett, Fentress counties, right down through Cookeville, moving into Cookeville right now, so the weather's heading downhill there. And then into parts of DeKalb, White County starting to move in. It's been raining heavily for a time in Cannon County too. I'll set it in motion for the last 30 minutes. Lots of lightning, lots of thunder. Notice the pink shaded counties in East Tennessee. That's a brand new severe thunderstorm watch. And if you know somebody over there toward Knoxville, that's in effect until 4 in the morning. And notice again down toward the Tennessee-Alabama line. That's why we're with you right now live in the storm coverage, because we have that tornado warning that remains in effect. So very concerning right now around Fayetteville on the east side. We'll stop it and we'll flip back to the Huntsville radar just to give you that better view of the rotation in southeastern Middle Tennessee. And here it is. And it shows right on the border of Lincoln and Moore counties. There may be a tornado in progress. Of course, it's dark. It's raining heavily. This could be rain wrapped. We don't know. We don't know if it's on the ground either, so you just got to play it safe and hunker down. So some of those communities, again, that we're focused on for where you need to be hunkered down. Certainly Lynchburg, Fayetteville, in another 5 minutes you can come out of your safe spot. But on the south side of Lynchburg, Bakertown, Lois, Ridgeville, Brownington, moving your way, Beach Hill, Marble Hill, Gaddiestown, Locks Mill, and Mulberry, that whole area. If there's a tornado right now, and this is a snapshot, so it's moved since then, but the snapshot a moment ago showed it right on the border. So right now, I'd say it's in south central parts of Moore County, right in through there. Let's see if we can get that road to populate. South of Lynchburg, coming out of 55, emerging from 55, I'm not sure it's going to pop up, but between Lynchburg and Beach Hill is probably right around Lois where this thing would be right now, Lisa.
All right, so that is a possible tornado. Tornado warning has been issued, does include Lincoln, Moore, and also folks there in Franklin County. So if you're in one of those counties, we're talking about you right now. This is in effect until 12:30, so just about 15 more minutes. We want to hang with this and kind of reassess and see if it's going to continue to hold together. But we're showing you the bigger view, and I tell you what, it's been quite a stormy night right through here along this line. The good news is so far we haven't had a great deal of reports of any damage along this line, but we know you're getting some heavy downpours. There's been quite a bit of lightning. 86 strikes are showing up in the window that I'm showing you here. And around Cookeville, you are right in the middle of this storm right now, over to Allgood as well. So heavy downpours, gusty winds, a heads up to you in Monterey. That's exactly what you can expect as it comes in. And if you're in Smithville, right now folks are getting it in the Smithville area with the heavy downpours now and those winds really gusting up. Sparta, you're going to be in line to see that next, and then we head on down to McMinnville. It is just now moving into Warren County, and you are not under a warning in Warren County or any of those locations to the north, but you are still going to see the effects of this line that's producing those gusty winds as it moves to the east. And coming in now to around Manchester and Tullahoma, you are also seeing some of the heavier downpours right now, just on the edge there of that warning for that potential tornado that we're seeing here around Franklin County, Lincoln, and Moore counties as well. Folks there in Fayetteville, the storm has moved away from you at this point. That is good news. It has pushed a little farther onto the east where we could see that possible rotation. Folks up here in Lynchburg, still getting some very heavy downpours. Looks like that rotation maybe just off to the southeast of the Lynchburg area. But if you're in Estill Springs, it is headed in your general direction, and it heads up to folks there in Deckard too. This will come very, very close to you as it moves on to the east. And you can see the red line highlighted here. That is the tornado warned area that we're seeing. So Estill Springs, you're just on the other side of it. Dan's doing just a review here of the winds that we're seeing. So we're talking about an 85-mile-per-hour winds or so with this system as it's moving on toward the northeast right now. So we're getting very high winds, and just straight line winds alone at 80 miles an hour can do some damage. So that's why we definitely want to be staying in our safe spot, even if it's a straight line wind. Better to be in there and stay safe as this storm is moving on by. Moving off towards the east-northeast, about 50 miles an hour or so, and it's going to be headed over towards the Estill Springs. Looking at our storm threats here, we oftentimes can look for indicator of some wind, but certainly this time it is detecting some small size hail, perhaps up in the top of that storm. Maybe a little bit lower or a little bit smaller as it finally reaches the ground. But that notch, pretty evident right through there, Dan. You can see it certainly a lot better we could just a few moments ago. Headed over towards the Brownington area, and it is right on top of you if you are in Beach Hill, and continuing to head towards Winchester Springs and over towards Eastbrook as well. So if you're in any of these communities, we want to make sure that you too are taking those precautions down in the basement, in the closet, wherever the safest spot to be in your home is. Make sure that's where you are. Here's Swanee. So we know a lot of folks in Nashville have some vacation spots there in Swanee. A lot of folks living in Swanee. So make sure that you are paying attention here, because that storm is going to be headed your way. Estill Springs, their estimated arrival time is going to be 12:30. Around Deckard, that's going to be at 12:33. Swanee at 12:44, and Pelham at 12:47. So if the storm continues at this speed on this track, that's the estimated time it's going to be arriving in some of those communities right through here. This line extends all the way down, as you can see, across that Alabama line. So folks in Huntland, you'll want to make sure that that you're kind of watching, pay attention here. You're not in a warned area, but you've got some high winds and heavy downpours that'll be coming your way very soon as this line is coming closer and closer to you. But heads up there in Fayetteville, you are all clear all the way back to Pulaski. No issues here other than just seeing some of that rain continuing to come down right now. But tornado warning remaining in effect until 12:30. So we're talking about 10 more minutes for you, and then we'll assess how we're doing with that. And if it shows any signs of weakening, it may be reissued again. We're looking at these W's across the map. These are indications of some wind damage that we have had with these storms today. This is over in Madison. So as those storms were coming through Nashville, we had a large cedar tree that was blown down there, and a couple of trees also blown down. This was over on Burke Hollow Road. That's not too far there from Nolansville. So if you know where that is, that is also showing the signs that these storms have really been packing a wallop with the winds that they've moved on to the east. Next stop's going to take us where we've, could see some property damage, structure damage. That was over in New Hollow Tractor, and I believe that's over in Dixon in that community. And also saw some other reports of some power outages, possibly in the Dixon area as well, from those high winds that have been moving on through. And here we're looking at large billboards, street. It looks like street address signs were blown down as well, that too in Dixon. So it looks like we definitely had some high winds right there in that county with the storms moving through a couple hours ago. And now we're looking at right here, this tornado warning that remains in effect. This is for folks that are in Franklin, Lincoln, and Moore County, as this is moving closer and closer to folks in Estill Springs, over to Deckard, and also around the Winchester area as well. Dan?
All right, Lisa, so we're definitely on the east side of Lynchburg now, and in about 5 minutes we can give Moore County the all clear. We've given all clear to Lincoln County. I know you're still officially in the tornado warning, and 5 minutes from now we're going to do the same for Moore County, and then really focus on Franklin County. It's going to be very interesting with this inflow notch to see if the Weather Service issues a tornado warning for Estill Springs. You're not in the official tornado warning, but this is making a beeline towards you. And so you can see where the wind is blowing in, feeding this cell. And notice the distance from where we would have a tornado to Estill Springs is 8 miles, 8.4 miles right now on the west side of Estill Springs. So just a heads up. We'll let you know momentarily if that is issued. Otherwise, you do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 12:45 for Estill Springs, for Deckard, for Winchester and Cowan. So you're still going to have some very strong winds, very heavy downpours. Lisa just went through the whole rundown of some of the damage reports we've gotten from just the straight line winds already. And so with the intensity of what we're seeing down here, down toward the Tennessee-Alabama line, I wouldn't be surprised if we've got some damage in time resulting from that. So all of Franklin County has potential for that. Huntland, Sewanee, eventually into Grundy County. We haven't mentioned you yet. You still have the tornado watch in effect until 3. We've got some strong storms up toward Manchester, not as strong as what we see back toward Estill Springs, but in time that could cause some issues at Altamont, Beersheba Springs, Colmont, and maybe back toward Tracy City as well. Current time now 12:22, and it looks like this will continue until it expires. Still that healthy notch ongoing. We check debris detector again. And what we're looking for, I'm going to do a time lapse of this. What we're looking for with debris detector is a little pocket of cool colors that spikes, and that is coincidental with some pretty good rotation. And so we're following from Fayetteville. I'm going to draw the path here of where this, if it did touch down, where it would be headed. And in this general area, we're looking for a little pocket of cool colors that show up in the debris detector, and to see if we see anything. And if we do see a pocket of cool colors, then that could indicate maybe some debris lofted in the air. And I'm not seeing a whole lot. I'm not seeing any bright yellows, any blues or greens. So that's good. So again, at least from that perspective, it's not looking overly menacing, but again, because of that inflow notch, because it still looks quite healthy, and then the rotation around that area of circulation, right in through here, we'll check on the magnitude of that rotation again. And so 58 mile per hour inbounds and 47 outbounds. So it's about 105 miles per hour of rotation in a very tight area. There could be a tornado now moving into Franklin County. So,
and Dan, they're going to extend that warning till 1 o'clock.
Are they really?
Yeah,
okay.
It looks like tornado warning till 1 o'clock for Franklin and for Moore County.
Well, then they'll have to get it into Estill Springs when this thing redraws. So it's moving along, and wow. So that's going to just pretty much cross 64 in time, and maybe get up into the Colmont area, Lisa.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Absolutely. We'll be tracking that for sure. So, that just reiterating, if you're in Estill Springs, we want you to be in your safe spot right now, because this is being extended, and I believe here that's it, drawing in right there. Now includes folks all the way over to Sewanee and up just south of you in Tullahoma. So if you're in Estill Springs, if you're in Deckard, you're in Winchester, you're in Sewanee, those areas now are in that tornado warning. So for Franklin and Moore County right now. New warning, extension of the warning until 1 o'clock. And it's evident why, because we're still seeing signs that we could have some rotation taking place. And it is right here. I mean, it is knocking on the door of Estill Springs. Safe place is going to be lowest level of your home. If you've got a safe room, if you've got a storm shelter, fantastic. That's where you need to be. If you don't, just make sure you're on the lowest level. Head into the closet or to the bathroom, grab a pillow. Helmets are always great because what you're trying to do is protect your head from flying debris, because those storms, I tell you, anything they pick up, they just throw it right back out. That's why we want you away from windows, because stuff that could be coming through those windows, pillows, blankets, that sort of thing, really helpful. And if you do live in a mobile home, please get out of that mobile home, go to a neighbor's house or go to a low-lying area like a ditch. You want to be out of the mobile home because they tend to flip over and over again. So it's just not safe to stay in there, and we certainly want you to be safe tonight as this storm is marching very close to Estill Springs. Right now, it's going to be just north of you in Winchester, but if you're in Winchester, you're about to get some very high winds, we'll see some heavy downpours with this too, and a lot of lightning has been firing off with these storms tonight as well. You can see that path, if it holds together, it's going to take it on over to Grundy County. Looks like it could be coming close to folks there over in Birchip Springs and not too far from you in Altamont as well, if it continues on that track right now. And I tell you, we were watching these storms as they were developing there in Alabama, and it looked like, wow, okay, maybe they're not going to stay as strong when they reach Tennessee, but that is not the case, as we're seeing that potential tornado there headed towards you at Estill Springs around 12:30, Pelham around 12:46, and continuing on this track, holding together, it could get to Mont Eagle at 12:48, and then Tracy City, estimated arrival time there is going to be 12:55, and Hickson at 12:55. Storm moving off towards the east with a little bit of a northeast drift right now, moving around 50 miles an hour, and that's certainly going to bring potential of a tornado to folks there in Estill Springs, as it's almost on top of you at this point. Now we look down to Winchester. You've got that stuff, I tell you, that heavier rain inching right to you at this point. Kind of doing a little cross section of this storm, taking a look at what we can see here. We are switched over to the Huntsville radar site because we're so close to Huntsville right now. It's got the best vantage point. Looks like maybe some hail, small size hail that might be built up in this storm. You can see how the winds, those updrafts, are going to push that hail up, and then it'll fall back down as Dan rotates it through back and forth. You could see that a second ago. But here it is in relationship to you in Estill Springs, that storm getting very, very close. And notice right through here, this is that notched area. This is that inflow area where that circulation is going to be taking place. Of course, the question is it reaching all the way to the ground? And we certainly don't want you to take time to find that out by looking outside, because there's a lot of rain, it's dark, you can't see anything. So just make sure you're going on and heading into the safe spot, because that is where we would be seeing that rotation just off to the west of you in there in Estill Springs and well south of folks there in Tullahoma. It is definitely a defined notch that we're seeing there. Up and down that line, you're going to see heavy downpours. You're going to see a lot of wind as it moves on to the east, and then lightning has been evident tonight. This is 27 strikes here. Dan?
Okay, I've got an unconfirmed report coming out of Fayetteville, but I believe the source because it's Ben Luna, and he's been with WLX Radio. Now he is the Tennessee Valley Weather Authority. He says Fayetteville's been hit, damage to and around Lincoln Medical Center. The ER side of the building has sustained some damage. We don't know if that was from straight line wind. We don't know if that was from a tornado touchdown, but we do know, according to Ben Luna, that there has been some damage in Fayetteville, and so we'll see what that turns out to be. But if our news desk is listening to that, maybe we can inquire and find out more information. Estill Springs, this is the area you've got to be hunkered down. We've told you a number of times. Time now 12:28. This tornado warning stays in effect for Franklin County until 1 o'clock. Now, there's no chance this storm is still going to be in Franklin County at 1 o'clock. There is a chance it'll be over in Grundy County. Grundy County officially is in our area in Middle Tennessee. And so Colmont, Tracy City, heads up. This could get you in time. So this is not the time to go to bed. This is the time to just say, hey, I'm going to get a little nap Saturday afternoon. If I'm in Colmont, if I'm in Palmer, I'm in Tracy City, I'm going to hang on until the storm that we're watching now in Estill Springs that may have a history of causing some problems in Fayetteville until it gets in Dunlap, because Dunlap is to your east. And so it's going to be a little while before that happens. But right now, tornado warning for northern Franklin County until 1 o'clock in the morning. And then most of the county has a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 12:45 and Estill Springs. Let's get back down and look at you. Now, the inflow notch doesn't look as well defined as it did before, but honestly, that doesn't matter. That could mean that it's just getting rain wrapped. Let's check on the rotation around Estill Springs. It still looks formidable, but not as strong as before. So that's a positive trend. Outbounds from the radar, 26. Inbounds, very, very strong. 73 collectively, close to 100 miles an hour. So something for us to watch. And again, it's around Estill Springs. So if you are in Moore County, you have the all clear. There's no tornado or no tornado threat for you anymore. I know there's a little sliver of a warning in Moore County, Lisa, but Moore County and Lincoln County, you can come out of your safe spot. It's Franklin County. You've got to still take this very seriously.
Absolutely. And anytime we get a report that damage has been identified, this makes us even more of a heightened alert because we know that there possibly could be a tornado when we have that kind of report. So we've had that from Fayetteville. So let's just keep that in mind if you are over here in some of these communities out ahead of this storm as it continues to move on towards the east. And it looks like it's coming right there very close to 64 as it comes out of Estill Springs. So right through here, folks in this general area, and we'll dive down here in just a second, see if we can get some more of these communities to pop up in this area. But Estill Springs, that storm is right on top of you. It looks like it's just moving east now. Where that notch is, where the potential tornado is located right now. And again, we've already had reports that there has been a touchdown. Unconfirmed for sure, but definitely we've got a source that's saying that there is a touchdown there, and that is very close to, let's see, some of the communities over here around Pinole Hill, and right there at 64, getting closer to folks that are over towards Alto in that community. It could get very close to you if it continues on this path right now and holds together, but definitely still seeing that definition of that notch, that inflow area where we would see some circulation taking place and potentially making touchdown with the ground, so that hence a tornado. So want to make sure that you're headed in that safe place. And again, you know, now is the time to get in there. We're talking about a bathroom, a closet, getting away from windows, and we will give you the all clear once this storm has passed you by, just like we did for Fayetteville. But it is on top of you now there in Elkton. Dan?
Hey, Lisa, I'll give it back to you in just a moment. Just more information coming in. This again from Ben Luna with the Tennessee Valley Weather Authority. He says hospital staff has called for emergency assistance from neighboring counties. Crews from Lawrence County are headed there to Fayetteville to help out. So that's the background or the information behind the potential damage to part of the hospital there in Fayetteville. Lisa?
All right. So definitely confident that we want to get people in their safe spot here out ahead of this storm, knowing that we've already had the potential touchdown there, that we've got reports of a touchdown or at least some damage from this storm as it has come through. So that's going to be headed right over to 64 very soon. Dan, let's see if we can get a storm track on here too.
Sure.
Now that we've pulled out a little bit. Tornado warning, by the way, in effect until 1 o'clock. So almost another half hour as this storm is slowly moving out of our viewing area. And I mean slowly moving out. At least it seems that way when you've got a storm right on top of you, right? This is going to be headed to Pelham around 12:47, Mont Eagle at 12:49, Tracy City estimated arrival time for you at 12:56, and then over to Colmont at 12:59. Over Grundy County, Altamont, the estimated arrival time is just past the top of the hour. So you can see as the storm is moving in this general direction. Looking at the rotation detector, I should say, where we try to find any greens and reds that are close together to give us an idea if we're seeing some circulation with that storm. storm, and Dan's identifying where it's moving toward the radar site and away from the radar site. We are on the Huntsville radar site right now. It is the closest to this area and can give us the most definition of what's going on with this storm right now. And we're looking at those winds and over 100-mile-per-hour winds estimated right now with the storm as it continues to move across the area. So that is right there, well off to the east of Estill Springs right now, and continuing on that path that should take it off to the north of Suwanee as it continues to move on towards the east. Dan?
Okay, Lisa, so we're continuing to track this cell that looks like the warning ring just popped back up. And look at that. So if you look at Estill Springs, you look at Colmont, and you look at Fayetteville. Let's see if I can get them all in the shot here without them dropping off. You almost can take a ruler and connect the dots. And so this is why I've been mentioning Colmont. This could be your storm in time. It's moving along. I mean, it's almost the most dangerous part of the cell, almost out of Franklin County. It's still in Franklin County. It's getting really close. So it's approaching you, Colmont, distance from you for the most dangerous part of this storm, right in through here, 17 miles. So if this is moving at 50 miles an hour, say 20 minutes from now, so we'll say, I don't know, 12:55 at the latest. I'd be ready at 12:45 just to play it safe, Colmont. You don't have a tornado warning, but I just mentally prepare. You know, if you have to go retrieve the helmets in the garage or in the storage shed out back and get them in your safe spot, get ready because you might have to hunker down. East side of Estill Springs right now, we don't know if it's touched down in Estill Springs. It still has a healthy inflow to it right in through here. See that along Highway 64? This is where the environmental wind is coming in and feeding that cell. And then all this is heavy rain. We've got some sinking air on the backside. So rotation is forming right here along 64. It's pretty classic on the east side of Estill Springs. Don't worry, we're not going to leave you until this thing is done. Estill Springs, we're not giving you the all clear because it's still in your area, and some people live on the east side of town and call it Estill Springs. So we're going to wait until this gets out of Franklin County. We don't want to forget about the rest of Middle Tennessee, so we're going to just do a little recap here and a little reset. Top-down view, all the W's indicate wind damage so far tonight. If we have menacing weather for the rest of tonight, and I'm talking about wind damage or tornadoes, it's going to be in the zone in through here. Cumberland Plateau. So essentially where we have the tornado watch and just north of there as well, this is the zone. If we have any menacing weather, it would be in the form of flooding back and through here. So this would be flooding, and this to the east could be damaging wind, could be isolated tornadoes, and of course it could be some flooding as well. Lisa?
Yeah, so you can look at that and tell we're only about a county or so away from it clearing our viewing area right now. So that is some good news for folks that are up there on the Cumberland Plateau. Right now, though, we are in the thick of it here, just off to the east of Estill Springs. We still want you to stay in your safe place there in Estill Springs until we just get this out of your general area. This is one of our warning rings, and that pops up when our computer is detecting some rotation taking place. We've been, of course, manually looking at that rotation through using our rotation detector, but certainly when we see these warning rings pop up, we know that we've got some circulation taking place in this storm. We have already had reports of damage at the hospital that is over around the Fayetteville area. We've got reports of trees down over in Fayetteville as well with this storm as it's moving towards the east. Here you are in Estill Springs. The storm continues and looks like it's going to be crossing 64 as it continues on that path, moving kind of east-northeast right now at about 50 miles per hour or so. And that's going to be bringing it on a course that's going to take it very close to you in Colmont all the way down to Tracy City, but should stay north of you in Tracy City, should stay south of you in Altamont, but don't go anywhere. Stay with us because we want to make sure that you are knowing exactly where this storm is if you're in the Altamont area as it moves on towards the east. But right now, the tornado warning is confined here to Franklin County, and I believe we've said even Moore County and folks certainly over in Lincoln County are okay at this point. It's just just Franklin County where we're still dealing with this storm as it's moving on towards the northeast right now, just continuing to make its way into this area. And we just continue, I can see up on our little chart over here, we continue to get different little reports in of some of the wind damage that we've had with these storms today. And we'll let you know if we hear any more reports of any damage that's come with this possible tornado that we're seeing right now. Tornado warning remains in effect until 1 o'clock. So about 20 more minutes, and then we'll have to see if this is going to be reissued. But it's about to actually move out of the warned area, and looks like next step will be Grundy County. So we'll have to see it's going to be reissued for that. But right now, it is holding together. So it is not showing a weakening sign just yet. So we want to make sure you're hanging in there, staying in your safe place right now with the storm continuing to move on towards the northeast. And with it, bringing some very high winds, even without a tornado. We've had some of the winds estimates over here over 100 miles per hour. So a 100 mile per hour straight wind can certainly do a lot of damage. So that's why we say, hey, just stick with this a little while longer, stay in your safe place until this passes on by. Very serious, knowing that we've already had some damage in other locations. On up that line, we've still got that heavier rain to come to you in Spencer. You're just now getting into it in McMinnville as it moves on towards the east, and eventually this is going to be headed out of White County, right on into Cumberland County as it's moving on to the east. All right, diving down once again, and look at that well-defined little notch here. That will be where we're seeing the winds flowing in, and you can see some of the communities here. If you recognize any of these, Betsy Willis, Rutledge Hill, around Pelham. If that's you, you need to make sure you're in your safe spot. Alto, it's very close to you right now. Bells Mill and Valley Home, Piedmont are some of the communities there. Pine Grove, you can see how close it is to Tim Ford's Lake, continuing to move on towards the east right now, or excuse me, it's past Tim Ford's Lake, but continuing to move on towards the east and making its way towards Pelham as it continues on that east-northeast track. So you are still under this tornado warning for about 20 more minutes, and we're waiting to see if they're going to extend that to include folks that are here in Grundy County. So we'll watch that real closely, let you know about that. Dan, let's pull out and show that bigger view once again to let folks know what's going on here. You can see all of those W's. This is the wind damage. And I tell you, you're almost out of the rain in Nashville, certainly out of the rain in Waverly. It's passed by you at this point. Here we can see that we've got, let's see, this is...
It's down in Alabama.
Okay,
but
so this is in Alabama. I wasn't seeing where exactly you were
Yep.
tagging it to, but that's going to, oh, I see it right there. That T, this is all a part of this same storm that we're, of course, seeing around the Fayetteville area. It's kind of the tail end of that as it moved on through. But a tornado was reported there by a train spotter, and that was along Highway 72, as you can see there near the Star Cemetery was where that was reported with that when that storm came across there in northern Alabama. And now it's a little farther off to the north. Just wanted to mention to you, though, that around Columbia, you still got showers. We've got some of the rain extending all the way up there into Murfreesboro. Some of the heavier downpours have passed you by, though, so now you're getting more moderate rain at this point, and it's starting to taper off. The winds are starting to die down a little bit as well. So good news for folks here. Franklin over to Cool Springs and Brentwood, just looking at the more light to moderate rain. We do have a flood advisory that has been issued for the areas you see that are boxed off here in the green. That's in effect until 2 o'clock because we've had so much rain in some of those areas. So if you have to venture out, hopefully you are in for the night, but I know some folks work these crazy hours. We know all about that. So if that's you, then just watch out for some ponding on the roads. Then we look a little farther up to the north around Portland, Gallatin, over to Lafayette. You are still looking at the lighter to more moderate rain there. And then, of course, you can see the W's over here. I think we might have an update on our tornado warning. Looks as though still got to hang on to it, of course, till 1 o'clock. All right, but no changes in the drawing of which areas are included in that warning, not yet. So I'm just watching that closely for you. Now you can see all that rain advancing on towards the east, but this is the only location where we do have a warning. And looks like a severe thunderstorm warning has now been issued that's going to extend out and include Altamont and Colmont and Tracy City and just right there at Swanee, just almost a continuation of where we had the tornado warning that's been pushed a little farther out to the east, and now we are looking at a severe thunderstorm warning. Heading back over to the rotation detector again and looking to see if we still see any of that circulation that is still taking place, looking for those reds and greens really close together there. And we're diving down a little bit and not seeing the well-defined area that we had just a little bit a while ago from this perspective. Dan?
Good news on that, Lisa. So we'll keep monitoring this. We still have the tornado warning for 15 more minutes unless it gets canceled. And you know what? In fact, this thing is going to move out of Franklin County. The potential rotation is going to move out of Franklin County momentarily. So we'll have a decision to make here shortly. But right now, it looks like the storm is starting to lose its rotation and form more of a line as opposed to a healthy inflow. So good news there. We got another update for what is being found down in Fayetteville. And again, according to Ben Luna, we've been talking about his reports this evening. He says THP is reporting potentially substantial damage in parts of Fayetteville. So what does that mean? It's very general. We don't know, and we won't know until morning. But there could have been a touchdown in Fayetteville. We don't know that for sure, but there could have been a touchdown in Fayetteville. Sounds like there has been some damage, at least to the hospital. And Lisa shared earlier, there could have been some trees down there as well. Right now, Altamont, south side of Altamont, but in Grundy County. This is where the focus is shifting. It's still a tornado warning north of Sewanee and in Sewanee, and then down into the southeastern half of Franklin County. So we've got a little collection of warnings here, and they're adding up. But you can see very soon this whole storm is going to be in East Tennessee and moving out of our area and then over toward Whitwell and Dunlap. We've got to get it out of here and shifting eastbound. The deeper into the night we go, these storms will weaken. They're sort of peaking right now based on what we've seen on the radar trends, because what's going to happen tonight is the wind energy helping to drive these things in the mid-levels of the atmosphere is going to pull away and move up into the Midwest. And as that moves away, again, some of the shear is going to go away with some of these cells, and it's just going to be a better situation. But until they get out of Middle Tennessee, we're going to watch them very carefully. Looks like south of McMinnville, the rain is pulsing up. You don't have a warning, but you've got some very healthy downpours and a new little cluster of lightning developing there. So that's another area to focus on. This is the last 30 minutes, and see how that's jetting up. So you can see just east of Boris and south of McMinnville. So what that means to you is Van Buren County, be very careful, and heads up, could be coming your way. Oh, good news. We've canceled the tornado warning in Franklin County, and largely because the storm is out of there, but also because we're losing some of that definition on the rotation. So it's been 45 minutes, Lisa. We've been tracking this into Franklin County, into Lincoln County, through Moore County as well. There may have been some significant damage in Fayetteville. We'll find that out as we get more information, but what a last 45 minutes it's been.
Absolutely. I mean, things were looking so, not calm, certainly, but we just weren't seeing those signs of any kind of rotating on any of these cells. And then all of a sudden we have this one develop, and now it is showing those signs of weakening, so that's great news. But there is still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. So we want to make sure folks there in Grundy County are, just paying attention, because we could always see something quickly rejuvenate. So we're going to stay here, keep tracking this for you. But if you are in that location right there around Grundy County, Altamont, Colmont, those spots, make sure that you're, just staying weather aware and stick with us for a little bit longer. The severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect. And what's the end time on that warning over there?
The end time is 1:15 for Grundy County.
All right. So a lot to watch here, Dan.
All right. So stay with us right here at WSMV4. As Lisa mentioned, we're not going anywhere. Let's now head back to programming.